Gonzaga Nation SI on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. Well, the last week or so has been an eventful time for Gonzaga basketball. Fans have been clamoring for information on Drew Timme, Julian Strawther, Rajir Bolton. They've been clamoring for information in the transfer portal with Malachi Smith, as well as potential recruit out of Spain, Bobby Miller. So let's just break it down really quick. We'll quickly talk about what has transpired, which I'm sure everybody knows already, but then quickly touch on what the backcourt looks like, what the front court looks like, as well as what the style may be next year for Gonzaga. So first off, there's recent breaking news, literally right before I started recording, in that the 6'10" versatile front court player from Spain, Bobby Miller, has chosen Florida State over the Zags. That's not too big of a disappointment in my eyes. Yes, he was a good player. I think it would have been a nice ad. But you're talking about finding minutes for one more player that will probably be deserving of minutes. So Coach Few and staff have a load of options next year on what they want to do with doling out minutes. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be interesting to see how it breaks down. But let's just start in the backcourt. This backcourt has size. This backcourt has speed, has length, has athleticism. With the addition of Smith, has more shooting punch from the outside. It's got scoring punch in transition with Hunter Sallis. It's got point guard creativity in Nolan Hickman. And it's got the capabilities to defensively be maybe the best defensive backcourt Gonzaga's ever had. And that's saying a lot, because a couple of years ago, that group was Suggs, and Nembhard was really good. So it's going to be interesting to see. But, you start with the point guard position. Nolan Hickman, I would imagine he slides right into the starting point guard role. I've said it from the time he committed. I think he's the next great point guard at Gonzaga. He had a year to kind of really learn under Andrew Nembhard, and what better player to learn under than Nembhard? Nembhard's looking like he's going to be a first-round NBA pick. Nolan Hickman showed last year the ability to really be creative with the ball, really be good in pick and rolls. His jump shot, I think, is getting better. He shot in the 30s last year, but I think he's got a chance to be around the 40% mark this upcoming season, because he's only going to take good shots. And every player on this Gonzaga team should only be required to take good shots, because there's so many weapons that Gonzaga can look to offensively. But Nolan Hickman, I think, has got a chance to be a really special point guard. Rajir Bolton, he was one of the players that were looking to see what their options would look like at the next level. He declared for the NBA draft, and rightfully so. Get a free look, get some workouts, see what the interest level may lie at. And then also maybe get some interest from some European teams, maybe get some interest if you want to go that route with the G League, but gain some more experience. But at the end of the day, decided to come back to Gonzaga. It's a tremendous re-addition to the program, because after his time at Penn State and Iowa State, he's played against great competition. He kind of was he was an unbelievable kind of just slide into that starting spot a season ago. You knew what you were going to get. You knew what you were going to get each night. It was going to be a unbelievably tough, willing defender, somebody who understood I take open shots and I'm opportunistic when I can get to the paint or make plays in pick and rolls flat out. I just think Rajir Bolton's a winner. He brings winning intangibles, and he's a guy that is hard to keep off the floor because he does so many things well. So that's a great re-addition to the program. Hunter Sallis, I thought he showed flashes a season ago. Unfortunately, he was stuck behind some really good players. You look at how the Gonzaga played a season ago with 2 point guards a lot of times. You look at, with his, I don't want to say lack of ability to shoot it, but his jump shot progression in the works. He just wasn't able to carve out a 20-minute a game role. When he got minutes and when he got extended minutes, I thought they were impactful minutes. And I think he's got a chance to be really good defensively. he's got a chance to be one of the best perimeter defenders that have come through this program. I think his instincts are tremendous. His willingness to guard is tremendous. He can finish in the open court and in transition when he gets in the paint. If he spends the amount of dedication and fine tuning of his jump shot that he did over the past year, this summer and into next season, I think that's going to bode well for him earning the minutes that he's going to want, because he's a guy that is talked about in NBA circles as being potential, very similar to Strawther. You see incremental steps, and then all of a sudden the light's going to go off and they're going to make a huge jump in production. And I think Sallis has a chance to do that. Next up would be Malachi Smith, the transfer from Chattanooga. I mean, you talk about, you got the pieces Gonzaga already has, and then you add him after Strawther and Bolton come back. It doesn't get much better if you're Gonzaga and that coaching staff. Lots of experience with him, the Southern Conference Player of the Year, as I've mentioned. He can play both guard positions. He scored almost 20 a game last year. As a junior, he averaged almost 7 rebounds, about 3 assists, shot at over 40% from the 3-point line. And his range extends well past the 3-point line. I think the interesting thing about him, with great size at 6'4", he averaged almost 9 rebounds his sophomore year in college. So this is a Gonzaga team that the backcourt has more size than a lot of previous Gonzaga teams. Nembhard had great size at about 6'4" at the point guard position last year. And Hickman's bigger than you would think, about 6'2". Dom Harris is the smallest of the guards, and we'll touch on him in a second. But with his quickness, his length, his athleticism, he negates it pretty well. But Smith, I think, is a great add. And from all accounts, when you read different articles and you listen to some other interviews, sounds like he's a player that just gets it. So whether he slides in and is a starter, whether he's first off the bench, whatever it may be, it sounds like he gets it. He wants to be a part of a winning program like Gonzaga and try to help Gonzaga break through to another Final Four and maybe win that national title. So it's going to be fun to watch him. Next up, Julian Strawther. He took his decision-making process down to the last day. He decided to come back. I think I expected him to come back. I expected Timme to come back. We'll touch on that in a second. But I expected Strawther to come back in different reasons. And I think the reason why is he tested out well with his skills workouts portion of the combine. He tested out well with his athleticism portion of the workouts. But I think one of the things that teams want to see from a guy that is right on the cusp is, can you do it every single game? Can you do it when it's relied upon by you to be an impact player? And I think that's the next step for Strawther's game is, he was the third leading scorer, but obviously it was Timme and it was Chet, and then he was going to fill in the gaps. It's going to be a focal point of Timme this year, obviously, but can Strawther average 16 a game? Can he expand? Can he show the ability to put the ball on the deck and quickly make the right play? There's a difference between putting the ball on the deck and taking 7-8 dribbles to find a play versus punching gaps, one hard dribble, pull up, make the play for the right guy. And I think at the NBA level, unless you're one of those guys going in to become a true superstar, you have to play the simple game. And that's 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull-ups. That's 1 dribble, 2 dribble, punch the gap, make quick decisions. And so I think that's where if he can show the ability to put the ball on the deck to do that, as opposed to be just a get out and transition finish guy, spot up 3-point shooter guy, I think he's really going to improve his prospects and help his evaluations at the next level. The guy that is also going to be in the mix for minutes in the backcourt is still kind of a mystery for Gonzaga. As a freshman, Dom Harris didn't get to play much because he was behind Suggs, because he was behind Nembhard, Ayayi, Kispert. There were really no minutes. But when he played, he was very aggressive. I thought defensively he showed a lot of promise. I thought his ability to shoot the ball, you could see that when he got comfortable, that could be a strength of his game. And last year at practice, before he got hurt, he showed a lot of improvement. I mean, he could contend with Strawther with Sallis a season ago as being the best perimeter defender. His quickness, his length, his instincts were all right there. And then he shot it very well at the practices I was at last year. And so it's going to be interesting to see how he responds and he accepts the challenge from other guys coming in and other guys having a year to kind of solidify themselves in a quote rotation that he didn't get to do because he was injured. But a few times I've talked to him, he loves being a Zag. He wants to be here and he's going to put his best foot forward. And I think we're going to see big things from him. So that backcourt is pretty loaded. It's impressive, the type of talent that they have. The front court, we talked about LSU transfer big man Efton Reed coming over from LSU in the SEC, originally from the Richmond, Virginia area. What a get for Gonzaga. I mean, as a 5-star recruit, McDonald's All-American, a lot of times you go into a program, there's so many expectations placed on you. And I'm sure there were at LSU, but that was a interesting, weird dynamic of team. Will Wade has always kind of done things a little different. And unfortunately, he lost his job because of doing things differently. Some people may call it cheating. Some people may call it getting creative, but he's no longer the coach there. And it led to a mass exodus of a bunch of players, including Efton Reed. Efton Reed kind of had an up and down freshman year at LSU, but the potential is there. 6'11", 7-footer with good length, not an unbelievable athlete, but a great footwork, great hands, skill set, someone that I think is going to be tremendous on the low block pairing with Drew Timme and high-low actions. I think then you could flip it a little bit because he showed the fundamental base to have a nice looking jump shot out to about 18 feet, where maybe he plays that high post occasionally. And Timmy's that low block guy, that duck in guy, which Gonzaga's always wanted and worked to have that high low action. Chet and Timme did a really good job once they got into the meat of the season last year doing that. So I think Efton Reed's going to be a big part of Gonzaga's success this year. Drew Timme, what more can you say? He has a chance to be one of the all-timers in college basketball over the last 40 years. He's going to be preseason player of the year, probably, I would imagine. He and Sheboy of Kentucky, they're probably going to share that preseason player of the year with every publication. If he has a good season, Gonzaga's solid. He'll be a 3-time All-American, and you got to go back to, I think, Doug McDermott for the last time you had a guy that was a 3-time All-American. Other guys at that level that you can kind of think about over the last 40 years or so, you're talking guys like Christian Laettner, you're talking about Patrick Ewing. It's a short list of guys that can kind of be in that rarefied air. And so Drew Timme, due to NIL rules and due to probably what I would guess, and I don't have, full confirmation of this, but I would guess a lack of a commitment from a NBA team in the mid-second round to say, we're going to take you. Because if you get a commitment from a team to take you, at that point, you kind of have a solid idea of what the financials are going to look like. It probably didn't look like he was going to hit that commitment level from a team. So coming back to Gonzaga and playing another year of college basketball with the NIL rules and allowing him to make a nice amount of money is definitely not a bad fallback. So Gonzaga fans are pumped, excited to have him. I would imagine he's going to be the same Drew Timme, unstoppable on the low block, great personality, fun teammate for his teammates to be around. The two unknowns in the front court would be Ben Gregg and Caden Perry. Both of them got some minutes a season ago, not a lot. Caden Perry injured his back early in the season, tried to come back, couldn't get healthy, ended up having off-season back surgery. When he's healthy, or if he can get fully healthy, he's one of the most athletic bigs this program's ever had. I mean, athleticism like Brandon Clark, as far as getting up, finishing above the rim. He's going to become a fan favorite in no time. Strength of his game will be rebound, run the floor, block shots, screen and dive type of guy. But he's got a great work ethic and he's got a chance, hopefully, if he gets healthy, to play big minutes or decent minutes next year. And then the other one, Ben Gregg, he's kind of that throwback big that Gonzaga has always had in the past, about 6'10", willing to bang, is a good low post player, can score on either block. But then can also step out and shoot it a little bit. I look at a guy who played a little bit before me, was a part of that Elite Eight run. The guy that quickly comes to mind for me would be Axel Dench in regards to a little bit of both. although Axel probably shot it a little bit more from the perimeter. The other one maybe people are going to say would be Casey Calvary, because Ben Gregg is a little bit more athletic than an Axel Dench was. But I think Ben Gregg's got a chance. I know he's got a tremendous work ethic. From the people in the Portland area that I know well from my time living down there, they said the kid continues to get better, and he's got that kind of personality and that mindset where he's going to be a worker, and he's going to leave no stone unturned to get better. So I would expect and imagine you see improvement from him, and he's going to challenge for big minutes as well. So last scholarship player that has to find a way to earn minutes, if that's to be the case, would be Martynas Arlauskas. Tremendous teammate. This will be his 4th year. He, alongside Drew Timme and Anton Watson, have been together now for 4 years, and those guys have kind of had that personality and that culture really well together. With that, I can't believe I in my notes I skipped right over Anton Watson as part of the front court. So that's my apologies in regards to Anton Watson. But it's funny because he's on my notes, but unfortunately I missed chatting about him. Because he does all the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. He had a stretch last year, I think, of about 10 games where he did average about 11 points a game. But he does all the little things that go unnoticed. He does all the things that allow a team to win. He's a selfless player. You ask him to guard the best big this upcoming season, I guarantee you he will, and he'll do a great job. You ask him to switch and pick and roll situations, he can keep a point guard out of the paint. You ask him to play at the top of the 3/4 court trap zone that Gonzaga does, and he does that extremely well. He was the spark plug a lot of times in games over the last couple of years when he went to the top of that zone. Last year really was the first year that he was healthy, and I think it showed in the fact that he had that 10-11 game stretch where he scored it and he played so well. He played with a lot of confidence, played within himself. I think that he's got a chance to he will obviously play big minutes, but does he start at the 4? Does maybe he start at the 3? And then you kind of go for a really big backcourt. The ideas and the options and the scenarios that the coaching staff has to run through is pretty impressive. But I can't believe I skipped right over my notes with Anton as I'm reading these and going over this podcast. So the ideas or the options that this staff has off the charts, maybe on paper, the most versatile and deep roster that they've ever had. Now, I know we've said this at different times. And one thing that you always have to err on the side of caution is, how does it all come together? Coach Few's been one of the best in the country for the entirety of his career of putting the pieces together. Now, we talked through about 11, 12 guys that are very talented. Coach Few has typically played 8, at times 9. So there's going to be a guy or two that unfortunately doesn't get the minutes maybe that they expect or want or think they deserve. And it's just a matter of, blending everything in a way and taking your own ego out of it for the betterment of the team, which is what guys have done for so long at Gonzaga. So for Gonzaga Nation SI and the Gonzaga Nation Media Network, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and review.